Well, good evening, everybody. Okay, well, today's an interesting day. I've had a number of people reach out to me today feeling kind of with mixed feelings. Some feeling a little bit upset, a little bit confused, and I've had a number of people asking me, is this real? What's happening? What's happening to our world? And I'm therefore hosting this live stream to connect with you and talk things through a little bit with you, even though this is going to be a kind of a one-sided conversation. I want to start off by letting people know that I care about you all, and that if you're feeling perturbed or unsettled at all, it's because you're a good person and you're not alone. There are many, many good people out there who are feeling similarly perturbed. We are Homo sapiens, and Homo sapiens demonstrate certain types of behavior. And one of the things that I have always done is look at our species and the universe and all species, all life, with as large a perspective as I possibly can. And if we do that, if we look at who human beings are, we have to understand, we have to recognize that we have some traits within us that are wonderful, some traits, some characteristics within us that are not so wonderful. If we consider why we are the way we are, I know that there's going to be people who disagree with the things I say. That's okay. You don't have to watch me. But we have evolved on this planet, and evolution is very simple. Evolution is something that a lot of people reject outright, but evolution is very simple. It's something that can't not happen. If you have offspring with different characteristics, which is what we have on this planet, children, when they're born of any species, have different characteristics, then those different children are going to have different chances of success in life. And those different characteristics are caused by our DNA. Many of them, not all of them. Nature and nurture, there is some nurture as well. But, having, for example, sharper teeth, stronger muscles, having increased intelligence, there are certain characteristics that organisms can be born with that enable them to survive more successfully. And so what happens is, naturally, those organisms, including our ancestors and our descendants, those organisms with characteristics that enable our survival and reproduction more successfully, those characteristics are more likely to get passed on to the next generation through our DNA. This is something that does happen. This can't not happen. And what happens is, therefore, species change over time. The characteristics which are beneficial to survival spread throughout a population, and those that are less beneficial disappear. They get reduced within a population. And that means that all organisms on this planet are a product of this process. And the characteristics we have largely are a product of this process. The way that all organisms, from ants to antelope and to humans, the way that we behave is explainable somewhat. Our psychology is explainable by this process. So human beings, we have instincts, we have ways of behaving, a lot of which are great, wonderful, loving, caring, and some of which are not so great. And why do we have those characteristics? Because they have assisted our successful survival and reproduction in the past. And some of those traits and characteristics that we have are considered by most good people to be moral characteristics. For example, the ability to connect with other people in friendships, that feeling that we get when we make new friends, when we have good groups of friends that we love, we care about, that those feelings and our desire to meet up with them and to be part of a community of friends, those things are all beneficial to our survival. The more friends we have, real friends, locally to us, maybe not internet or social media friends, but the friends who are around us, they have been and still are survival advantages. And I know that's not how we think about it when we make friends, but that's why we have those instincts. And cooperating in a friendly manner with each other helps us to survive. And that's why we have those characteristics. But there are also some characteristics that human beings have that assist in our survival often, but are not moral. And some of those characteristics are, for example, lying. When people are good liars, not those that try and get caught, but the good ones, well, that assists their survival. That assists the propagation of their DNA. They benefit from being immoral. When people are willing to walk on top of other people and put them down, even in dark, dishonest ways, if they're good at that, then that assists them, that assists their survival. And that is considered by me, that sort of practice is considered by me and by many others to be immoral. But there is that instinct that a lot of people have to compete for resources. This is how we would say it, that scientists compete for resources: food, shelter, warmth, money, even partners, even friends. There are instincts that people have to compete in ways that are dishonest and destructive. I mean, killing somebody, if you're good at it, if you can get away with it, that gives people a survival advantage, because you can kill your people who are competing with you. And those actions are not moral. So when we have populations of people in the US and around the world who make decisions for themselves, for their lives, for who they vote for, who they put in charge of themselves, we have a number of people who do what they feel are right for themselves, even though it may not be right for everybody, even though some people may look at those people and feel like they're being immoral. And these are very strong instincts. I know that there's sort of a spiritual belief that many people have, is that, you know, we're born into this world pure and good, and then we get corrupted by the world, and that's why people turn dark and start making bad decisions. But that's not reality. We're born with competing moralities in our instincts. And these darknesses that people have throughout history, through all recorded history, we can see that people get into conflicts with each other. We can see that when people don't like somebody, there are ways that they can attack those people and benefit from those attacks. We can see throughout history aggressive tendencies, um, vengeful tendencies, and those tendencies keep conflict alive throughout our world. We have those instincts. Human beings, whether you agree with, you know, my statements about evolution and why we are the way we are, whether you agree or not with me, you can see that throughout history, human beings have warred, we've tortured, we have done appalling things to men, women, and children, and we still do as a species throughout history and on our planet. As I've said many times before, we've got over 12,000 nuclear weapons ready to go. There's nothing moral about that. There's nothing good about that. We have something like 32, 33 wars going on, significant wars going on around the country right now. The region of armed conflict that is on this planet right now covers a large fraction. I haven't worked out the fraction, but it looks to me approximately like half of the planet. The planet's landmass area is in armed conflict. This is the species we are. Now, I know that in my description today, I said that I was going to be talking about hope. There is hope, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But there's only hope if we can recognize what the problem is first. We have these tendencies. Human beings have these tendencies. You know, I can look into myself, and I can see that I'm human. If I watch a movie on TV that is like a revenge movie, like somebody you like in the movie, at the start of the movie, gets hurt, gets attacked, gets mugged, their family gets killed, you know, whatever the horrible situation is. For the rest of the movie, I'm rooting for that person to get revenge. And that feeling is within me. Now, I don't act in my life upon those feelings. I have a policy that I don't. I have made an intellectual and a philosophical and a moral decision that I don't respond to attacks that are made against me, because that's not who I want to be. Who we are is how we act, not how we feel. We all have the ability to act better than the genetics that we've been given. And so we can be better than human. We can choose to be better than human, but it's a choice, and it is somewhat an intellectual choice to recognize that we are only human, and it's an intellectual choice to recognize that the feelings that we have are not feelings that we should always act upon. When we feel that somebody has done something wrong to us and we want to get back at them, even though it feels that that's what we should do. And when we don't feel comfortable until we do, those are immoral feelings. They might be good for our survival and reproduction, or at least they used to be in the past, but they're not moral. They're not ascended. They're not going to take us to the stars. So we need to understand that we can be better than human. We can be better than the things that we're seeing going on in the world, but it has to be an intellectual and a philosophical choice to be that way. Now, one of the tendencies that humans have, unfortunately, is to fill in the holes in our knowledge with beliefs, with things that we form theories for, and then we latch onto. And these could be beliefs about anything. I mean, certainly it could be God beliefs, creation beliefs, but it could be beliefs about where disease comes from, why we get bad weather. The weather here is terrible today up in my hills. It's gusty, stormy, cold. And there could be a temptation to think, well, this is some kind of representation of what's going on in the world right now. But really, it's just weather. But we have this tendency as human beings to, we want to know the answers to questions. We want to know why things are happening, because if we do know why things are happening, then we can control reality in our lives better. And when we don't know something, it therefore doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. But there are some things that have been over hundreds of thousands of years of our history, have been out of our means of understanding, out of our ability to understand. So what have we done? We've come up with theories for why those things are the way they are. We come up with theories that explain reality, and then we just accept them as being true without proof. That is what believing stuff is. We believe. And we still have that tendency to believe today in our present modern world. And you see that very clearly, that largely people who today as adults are Christian, were raised in Christian families, societies, countries. There are some countries out there that are 99% Christian. Why are those adults Christian? Because they were born in a Christian country. Just had a change in light levels here. Why are Muslims Muslim? Well, most of them because they were raised in Muslim societies. If we had have been born in ancient Egypt, we would have grown up in a polyatheist. What's it called? I forget the word for many gods. We would have most likely believed in Ra and Anubis and Egyptian gods, of which there were many. If we had been born in medieval England, we would have believed in Woden and Estrella, who was the god or the goddess that Easter then was named after, and even Thor, the god of thunder or lightning. We as a species have a tendency to be susceptible to conditioning from birth, to accept and believe whatever our parents tell us, whatever our societies and our cultures and our religions and our schools, and now social media and news channels and fake news channels tell us we're susceptible to all of that. Now, I'm not going to be mean to anybody this evening. I'm not going to criticize anybody, but I will point out that if a child is raised in a democratic household who watches MSNBC and you live in a democratic state, then you're more likely to become or sympathize with democratic points of view. If you're raised in a Republican household in a Republican state, watching Fox News, then you're very likely to end up being a Republican. And this is just like the examples that I've told you. If you're raised in a country, where I've lived in such countries for short periods of time where you can go to markets and you will see dogs being sold in the market as food, and that people eat dogs, then you're likely to think that's okay. But if you're raised in a country where that's not okay, where people are nice to dogs, then we don't think that's okay. People are so susceptible to conditioning. And what we see in elections is that there are patterns of social conditioning throughout the US and throughout the world. And this has always been a problem for humans, and it's a problem right now because people are so easy to manipulate. So I'm talking about the problems that we're facing. Now, I've been talking for years in my sessions about an erosion of democracy. And this is something that we're witnessing in the US, and this is something that we're witnessing in other places around the world. And it's nothing new. The social conditioning, the believing things that are not true is nothing new. There are many people who are conditioned to look at good people and consider them to be evil. There are a lot of people who are conditioned to look at evil people and believe that they're good. This has always happened. This has always gone on. And if we had not just reached a point of technological development where we're able to destroy ourselves and most species on this planet, then this pattern would just keep on going on and on and on. But unfortunately, we have reached a population on this planet which is huge and unnatural for human beings, and the way we're using the resources on this planet is non-renewable. It is self-destructive, and we are facing now a test that all species face when they get to a certain level of technological advancement around the planet. Around the universe. Anywhere in the universe where a species evolves or develops or gets created and develops to the point where they have sufficient technology, sufficient understanding of reality that they can manipulate atoms and molecules and the energy around them, that they have the ability, the power to destroy themselves, well, they all face a test. And if they are violent and they utilize those technologies in a violent, unwise way, they fail the test, they destroy themselves, or they knock themselves back heavily and have to rebuild, and they don't end up going out into space and traveling the universe. Or they develop along with their technological advancement, wisdom, advancement of morality. And if they manage to achieve that, then they can have those destructive powers, but not be destructive, not destroy themselves, not destroy others. And then they're free to roam the galaxy, or explore the galaxy, or help the galaxy. I'm in communication with beings that travel around the galaxy. and some of them astrally, and many of them live on, in, under, around this planet. And I'm fortunate enough to have been able to make contact with many of them, and I consider many of them now to be my friends. And they tell us about themselves, and they also tell us about us. And they're non-violent, they're non-aggressive, they're non-dictatorial. They don't impose their beliefs upon people. They don't impose their ways upon people. And they have been offering us advice for decades. And those pieces of advice are very simple. The first piece of advice that aliens have been giving to us is, well, nuclear weapons are not so good. Maybe you should reconsider them. The second piece of advice is, maybe we should take better care of our environment. And they have showed us visions of the future that show the destruction, environmental destruction caused by both nuclear weapons and climate change in our futures. Those are futures that are current, present futures. We can see those. I have people every once in a while telling me about their premonitions that they've had of the future, visions that they've been shown by different beings. And the future does show that. It does show destruction. It does show devastation. And the third message that these beings give to us is be nice to each other. They're wise, they're ascended, they've passed that point where they go around destroying. That's why they can be shot down by forces, human forces on this planet, and not respond by going to war with us. That's why they don't interfere with what we're doing. They're more evolved than that. And so we're in a position where humans are still humans. We're still acting like humans have always acted, with many good components and qualities that are instinctive, that feel right to us, but also many darker, less moral instincts like selfishness, hoarding resources for ourselves and not giving those resources to others, putting people down in dishonest and immoral ways so that you can benefit from walking on top of them. Those are instincts that a lot of people have and still live their lives by. And the way that human beings are, and those darker instincts, are pushing us rapidly towards increased instability on this planet. Political, social instability. Wars are happening more frequently, and they're going to continue to escalate. And those wars are going to spread to the US. We can look into the future. We can remote view or astrally project into the future and see what's going to happen. And the US as it is today is not going to survive. We are going to be entering into conflicts that will split apart the US, and other countries are going to get involved. And I've been talking about this for years and warning people about climate change and erosion of democracy, erosion of truth. And we're seeing that happen more and more on this planet. And when you get flooded, or when your community gets burned down, and people start criticizing, why didn't my government tell me about this? Why didn't people give us warnings? I'm giving you warnings now. I'm telling you that this is what we're moving into. And for those of you that are aware of the the climactic problems in the US, you look at a map of the West Coast during the summer months and see how many wildfires there are. It's horrifying. It's terrifying. If you look at places like Asheville, North Carolina, where I hosted a contact event 1 month before it was pretty much destroyed, that town or city. People didn't expect that. But then you look in places like Spain, which has just had over 200 people killed in terrible flooding. There's nothing unpredictable about this. These are events that I've been trying to stop for several decades. We can use our intelligence, our wisdom, our psychic abilities to see what's coming. And it's very clear. It's very easy. The science is clear about climate change. The potential for disaster with nuclear weapons is very, very clear. We can see these dangers. Anybody that's been following politics in the US with significant intensity and honesty, looking in the right places, should have, we've had the ability to see what is happening in today's political environment. We've had the ability to see this coming, building, growing for maybe 30 years. Now, our situation is not going to get any better. It's now set up to move in the direction it's moving in with increased strength. And it's going to become harder and harder and harder for us to turn back the time and take us back to a time that was more stable. So I can't offer you hope in that respect. So where is there hope? What is this? Why am I giving you this picture of doom and gloom? In order to solve problems, first of all, we need to understand the problems. I've tried to explain to you the problems that are facing the US and humanity and this planet. I've tried to explain those problems in the last 30 minutes. Now I've explained and outlined the problems, we can look at the solutions. Because there are solutions and there is hope, but maybe not in the places that people are hoping for. We've never been able to make the whole world harmonious. That's out of our control. Even when they were just a few million people on the planet, that's beyond people's control. So the idea of putting hope in us being able to save everybody and make the planet a fully peaceful place, those are hopes that will never amount to coming true. But I know that there are people who are watching this now and watching the recording of this afterwards who are really good, loving people who want to learn, who want to become more enlightened, who want to ascend. And there is a growing coalition of light that is out there of beings, of humans and non-humans, who are trying to support people like you. I am trying very hard to support people who are on the right path or who are willing to learn. And there are a number of human spirits in the spirit realm who are also trying to help. There are a number of advanced non-human entities who are trying to help. The support is there. But the help that we're giving, it may help to make the planet a somewhat better place in some ways if enough people follow us. But there's such evil people out there trying to knock us down at every turn it's hard. But what we can do is recognize that this is just one infinitesimally small moment in time in the vastness of time in front of us. And we are moving into darker and darker times on this planet as a whole, but there is a growing light within certain communities on this planet. And you have access to that community because you're watching me, you're listening to what I'm saying. And it's not just me, there are people with similar understanding around the world, almost certainly, who have the same sort of knowledge and connections that I have with other beings. And they know that the path that the human species is on is a path that we can't now get off of. Well, not as a species. We are committed now to catastrophic climate change. That we can't stop that from happening. We've already put back into the atmosphere the carbon dioxide that it's taken billions of years for us to for photosynthetic organisms to take out of the atmosphere. We're committed to changing our atmosphere back by at least 15 million years, probably more. So we can't perform impossible tasks. And this is essentially going to be acting like a great flood. And often, literally, climate change is getting increasingly worse and worse and worse. And it's going to make it harder and harder and harder for people to survive. There will be more and more and more instability, more and more fighting. And there will be wars, conflicts, climactic disasters that leave a lot of people surviving and not surviving. And there will be a large crash in human population. We're born into a planet where there are several billion people in it, and this is what we're used to. But this is atypical, very atypical in the history of this planet. It's only in the last sort of 300 years where the population of the planet has done this and spiked and peaked. And what's going to happen now is it's going to fall down on the other side. This is inevitable. We're causing it to happen. But where is there hope? There is hope on the other side of that, because on the other side of that, there are going to be people who survive that. And some of the people who survive that are going to be those who are being assisted in their survival by our community of light, by our community of beings of light. There are beings that we are in touch with, that we are communicating with, that are deliberately helping us to position ourselves to survive the oncoming years and the oncoming crises. And we're in communication with some of them in the present. Some of them are coming to us from the future, back in time, to assist us. We are getting that assistance. The location where I am here in California has been seen in visions for a number of years by different psychic people. They have seen this place, which I only moved into a year ago. I only found and moved into a year ago, but for many years they've been seeing this place as a place where craft are landing, where humans and aliens are working together to survive what is coming. And not just survive, but to thrive. Um, and this is not just them helping a few humans to survive so that we can do the same thing again. People are being targeted selectively by these beings, and and some humans are selecting themselves by understanding and choosing to join us. The selection process is such that people who are able to intellectually understand that they have both moral instincts and immoral instincts, um, and they're intelligent enough and they're moral enough to um, set aside their darker instincts, to rise above their darker instincts, to evolve to be more moral than human beings naturally are. Those people are positioning themselves to be in to survive the oncoming catastrophes with support from advanced non-human entities. And then it is that community, those communities of people around the world, who are then going to be ready, who are then going to evolve into the next species on this planet. And we think of evolution often as being a very, very slow process, and it is quite slow when it happens naturally. But these aliens that are around us, they're synthetic. They're biological bodies. They've been engineered. When you DNA test those biological bodies, they're made out of bits of terrestrial DNA from all over the natural tree of life on this planet. They've engineered them. Right now, we're just on the verge of having that sort of genetic engineering capabilities, but they've had those capabilities for hundreds of thousands of years. To them, it's just like, yeah, it's like taking an aspirin or something. It's that the technology is so simple to them, and they are assisting us in the evolution into the physical and into the spiritual, the mental, the moral, the emotional evolution that is happening to get us from where we are as Homo sapiens to where we're going to be in the near future, which is going to be different and better, more evolved, more moral. It's going to be a far more loving, beautiful, wonderful society. This is not something that's being forced on anybody. This is not something we're causing to happen. Who would want to cause all of this darkness on this planet? Not me. But this is something that is available to people who are ascended enough to take hold of the opportunity. When we look at who these beings are that are around us, there's a lot of different species, and there are differences. Some are more ascended than others. But when we look at them, most of the species are telepathic, strongly telepathic, strongly empathic. They have open and active connections, psychic telepathic connections with each other that enable them to feel each other's emotions and states of well-being, and that enables them to care about each other as if that other were them, because they feel the pain of the others around them. They feel the successes, the love, the happiness of others around them, and they work naturally more as a collective. We don't have that. We have to intellectualize and put ourselves in other people's shoes. and we're just not very good at doing that. Most people, a lot of people. But we're moving in that direction, and if you're still watching me, I imagine that you're significantly in that direction already. Empathic, kind, caring, loving, good people find the world to be tough sometimes because they see the suffering of others, and the potential suffering in the future of others, and it hurts them. It's something that I feel. I consider myself to be a very empathic people, and it hurts me when I see others suffering. It hurts me to see what's happening on this planet to all conscious life forms, humans and non-humans. But we are positioned as empathic people to be becoming more spiritually connected, moving in the direction of collective consciousnesses, moving in the direction of collective caring and collective love, universal love, being able to care about all people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, people in other countries, people who are the very people who are harming the planet. The idea of not wanting to get revenge for what those people are doing, but for loving them unconditionally because they're conscious. That's a hard lesson for people to learn. But it's the lesson that needs to be learned if we are to move, if we are to ascend to the level of the beings that are around us, if we are to enter into the communities around us that are extraterrestrial, transdimensional, interstellar. Now, loving everybody, caring about everybody, doesn't mean we have to agree with what everybody does. If a criminal does commits a crime, then there should probably be a response to that. But it should not be a response that is made out of hatred. It should not be a response that is vengeful or seeking accountability or justice. It should be a response that is in the best interests of all conscious beings, including that person there. Why did they do that? How can we help them not do that again? How can we learn from that person's crime to help other people to not do similar crimes? We need to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of other people and care about them in order to solve our problems rather than to kill, injure, torture, punish people. There's so many lessons that need to be learned if we are to ascend, if we are to move into the future as part of this coalition of light. Now, I try to help people to understand our situation. I give people opportunities to learn in ways that are going to position people to be thriving in the future. I offer you that opportunity, this YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please like some of my videos and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Watch my videos. There's the start of the learning process is in my videos. Find video one, talking to aliens. Watch that. Then watch video 2, meditation. Then watch video 3, thinking like aliens. Then watch video 4, alien morality. And try and consider that if not everything that I'm saying is resonating with you, is that because of social conditioning? Is it because of our weaknesses and flaws as human beings? Or is it because I'm wrong? I might be. So this is what I suggest that you do. go away and watch those 4 videos. At the end of each of those videos, it tells you, it shows you the website, which is the center of everything I do. It's the Alien Contact Patreon group. There is a join for free button on that website, the Patreon website. You can click on that if you want to stay up to date with all of my my online events. I care about all of you. I love you all unconditionally. I don't judge you. And I feel your pain. I feel your upset, your confusion. And I want you to know that I am with you, whatever happens. You're welcome always in my sessions, in my online events, and in my in-person events. And I want you to know that there is hope, but the hope is not in saving humanity from itself. That's never going to happen. The hope is becoming better than humanity, and that is a better hope, a stronger hope. It's a hope that is realistic because it's happening. Put your hope in our coalition of light. Put your hope in this community. There are some amazing, wonderful people in our community. Put your hope in us. And the future will be bright. There will be levels of harmony and love, of relationship, beauty, of all types, family, friends, romantic, interspecies. There will be such beauty in the harmony of the relationships and the interactions that you can be having in a community of ascended people. There is hope, and it's going to be a beautiful place. I hope you will consider joining us. I didn't know whether I was going to talk for 5 minutes, but it's turned into over 50 minutes. I didn't have any of this scripted, so this has all just come out of my thoughts. But I hope that it has been helpful for some of you. And I wish you all peace and love and happiness. This is where I'm supposed to be able to slip out of this live stream effortlessly, but I can never find the end stream button. There it is. Okay, I'm going to give my opening line again and then end this in a timely fashion. Peace, love, and happiness to all of you. Take care. Goodbye.